Hello and welcome to another edition of Fisher Football Focus. I'm your host, James Bailey. The Cardinals came into this Saturday in a must-win situation, as a loss would knock them out of the hunt for the Empire 8 crown. Fisher was facing a tough Hartwick team, sporting a chip on their shoulder, losing a number of hard-fought conference games. With a 1-5 conference record and nothing to lose, the Hawks will be going all out to be a season spoiler. Let's see how the Cardinals did.
On Fisher's first offensive drive, they drive it straight down the field. 8 plays, 61 yards, including this 40-yard connection from Matt Nathan to Nathan Nagolian. The drive would be capped by a Nathan 1-yard touchdown run. For the third time in the last 4 weeks, a Nathan QB sneak would be the first score of the game. Hartwick would take the ball and respond. John Garcia connecting here with his brother Brad Garcia for a 30-yard touchdown, tying the score at 7-7. The Cardinals took the Hartwick kickoff to the Fisher 45. Nathan hands off to James Chambers up the middle, and Chambers would say goodbye. 55 yards to the house. 14-7 Cardinals. Still in the first quarter, Hartwick's Tito Pichardo would score on this touchdown to tie it up 14-14 after one quarter. Now in the second, following a Hawks field goal, Chambers would score again, his second touchdown of the day to make it 21-17 Fisher. Late in the half now, Hartwick with the ball. It's Garcia to Garcia again. Brad makes a man miss and would take the ball 36 yards to the house to give Hartwick a 24-21 halftime lead. Fisher would get the ball to start the second half, and they would get in the end zone again. Nathan threw the air to Bobby Campese, 17 yards, 28-24 Cardinals. Later in the third, Hartwick strikes back. Garcia finds Carl Holmes, who makes a fantastic catch on the end of this 27-yard touchdown to give Hartwick back the lead. The back-and-forth battle would continue. Nathan to Nagolian again. This time he ends up in the end zone, 25 yards, 34-31 Cardinals. On the first play of Hartwick's next possession, Garcia would want it all. Dropping back, he looks for his man deep, and it's complete to Fisher's Brandon Fuentes, giving the Cardinals back the ball. That gives them a chance to put the game away. Nathan dropping back now, finds his third receiver, Taylor Byrne, the starting kicker. He takes it at the 40, makes a man miss, cuts back towards the middle, and by the end of it, he's in the end zone for a 53-yard touchdown to give the Cardinals a 41-31 advantage. Hartwick wouldn't roll over though. They'd score a field goal early in the fourth to set themselves up with one final shot. Garcia would go for it all in the end zone, and Fuentes would come up big again, his second interception of the day. The interception would all but end the game, but it wouldn't stop Hartwick from leaving some bad blood. Flashing back here to the first quarter, a fake punt that would get called back. Brandon Fuentes makes the interception, but a Hartwick defender would tackle him well out of bounds. Coming back now to the final kneel down of the game, Nathan kneels down and has a Hartwick defender dive right at his knees. Let's just say that the post-game handshake was just a bit less than cordial. It wouldn't end up mattering much to the Cardinals, who would come away with the 41-34 victory to improve to 6-3 in the season. Nathan ended up with 271 yards and 3 touchdowns. Chambers had 95 rushing yards and 2 scores. Fuentes would come up big again with 2 interceptions in back-to-back weeks. Taking a look at the Empire 8 standings now, Fisher is in a 3-way tie at 5-2 heading into the final week. The winner of the Fisher vs. Elford game is guaranteed at least a share of the E8 title. The Cardinals would win the title all out with a victory this weekend and a Cortland loss to Ithaca.
Coming up next, Coach Paul Vosberg will be back, and you don't want to miss it.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined yet again by head football coach Paul Vosberg. And Coach, unfortunately, we're gonna start off by talking about the pretty low negative of the game. That the ending definitely was a questionable ending. It was a chippy game throughout. Kind of started with that Fuentes tackle out of bounds, and it kind of carried over right through the last play. So specifically, how do you think your guys kind of handled the adversity there at the end?
I think our guys did a pretty good job, and that it was tough at the end because there had been some adversity during the game and things. But I thought our kids did a pretty good job of trying to back off. I mean, they took a couple cheap shots out there, and especially on those kneel downs for the when we're trying to run the clock out. You know, that was totally uncalled for, and that's not what college football and sports is all about.
So moving on to the more positives now, defense continued just not quite the dominance of a shutout that they put up the last 2 games, but they had forced 3 more turnovers again, extended their streak of holding teams under 100 yards rushing to 5 games now, 6 sacks. So, as I mentioned, they let up 34 points, so not as dominant maybe holding them out of the end zone, but you feel that they just came up with the right plays at the right times to really set yourselves up to win?
I think they did a great job. I mean, they came up with some big plays. They were put in some adverse conditions. One of the touchdowns came after 2 special teams mistakes in a row. We fumbled a punt return. They had stopped our opponent down deep, and they punted to us, and unfortunately we mishandled the punt. They recover. Defense goes back out again, stops them again, forces another punt. They run a fake punt this time, and we got a pass interference call, and that gave them another first down, and that eventually leads them to their score. So some of the points, they did a great job out there, and again, they came up big when we needed them to come up big with the turnovers and setting our offense up and so on. So I thought the defense still played a very good football game and against a good offensive football team that can throw the football.
And so Hartwick mentioned they scored, have the kick ball back off to you. They kept on kicking these short pooch kicks though, and your team did a great job returning those. Off of kickoffs, your average starting field position was on your own 44. So does it kind of make you and your coaches, the coaching staff, a little bit more aggressive to know, we may have just given up this score, but now we're in good field position. Let's just take a shot and get right back at them.
Well, I think that's true. We always felt going against them. We saw on film that's what they did a lot with Buffalo State, and I said if they're going to do that to us, we're going to get good field position, and then our offense can open up what they want to do. When you're backed up in your own end, sometimes you become a little bit more conservative, and that we didn't have to be conservative because we were always somewhere near midfield to start a drive. So we're basically about 1, maybe 2 first downs away from being in 4-down territory, and now that pressure is now on the defense. It's not on the offense, it's now on the defense.
And some of it wasn't even aggressive play calling. Off of one of those very first play, James Chambers rips off a 55-yard touchdown run, very first play. So part of it was just great execution by your offense as well.
It was a great execution. The line did a great job blocking, and James saw it, burst through it, and just outran the Hartwick football team.
Before we talk specifically about Alfred, obviously a huge weekend because, it's not all in your hands, as we mentioned before. An Alfred win and a Cortland loss, what gives you the E8 title outright. So in all of your years of coaching here, have you ever been in kind of a situation like that in the last week? Obviously the last week, a lot of stuff does come down to it most years, but where, it's just the scenario comes out where, you've got to go out there and play a great game and beat a great team, but it's not all in your hands. And, how did you kind of handle that as a coach?
Well, we just handle what we can, and that's we worry about one thing, and that's the game we're playing, and we can't control what happens in the other games and so on. And we've had this scenario before for us and so on. So we just worry about one thing, us. What are we going to do with Alfred and that? Because that's the only thing we have control of is what we do against Alfred.
Well, later in the show, we will have all 3 of your captains coming in, Nathan Nagolian, and we also have your defensive captains, Brandon Miller and Jordan Andrews. And the defensive captains have been on before, Andrews and Miller. We've spoken a little bit about them. But, in their last kind of game as a Cardinal, last regular season game as a Cardinal coming up this Saturday, can you kind of speak about how, they've definitely kind of come on late in this season. Can you speak about how they've been helping lead this charge here as you guys have been on this 5-game winning streak leading towards the end of the season?
Well, I think not only those 3 senior captains in that, but I think our seniors as a whole, they've stayed focused what they want to get done, and so it would have been easy to kind of kick it all in and give up when we were 1-3 at one time and 1-2 in conference and so on. So, but our kids did a great job. They stayed in there, and they just look week to week and try to get better week by week, and that's what they've done, especially over the last 5-6 weeks.
And the conference championship, we mentioned on the line, but you can't get ahead of ourselves. Talking about Alfred, they're a good football team, and looking at them on paper, they don't have anything that necessarily jumps off as an extreme strength, but at the same time, they don't really have any major weakness. They played a very grinded out 20-14 game against Cortland that Cortland was able to pull out earlier this year. Do you think it's going to be kind of like a game like that this weekend where it's just going to be back and forth, kind of grinded out, low-scoring affair type of thing?
It could be. You're never quite sure, but they're a good football team. There's a reason they're tied for first as well. There's 3 of us with the same records at 5-2 in conference and there's a reason they're there, and that they're a good football team. They can play football, they find ways to win, and so on. We're going to have our hands full, and it should be a 60-minute football game. It should be right down to the wire again.
Do you guys think? Do you think? I mean, obviously you're confident in your guys, but you think that given the struggles you guys have had this season, the kind of heart that your team has displayed, you guys have a bit of an advantage in that standpoint, where they've kind of, I wouldn't say haven't had an easier going, but they definitely have had a different season than you guys.
Yeah, they have I don't think their non-conference schedule maybe in the beginning of the season was as good as ours, but they've had to grind some out too. They've had to come back in a couple of ball games and win two, and that's why again they're sitting at 5-2 like we are, and so on. So I give a lot of credit to Elford University that they find a way to win down there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach. Best of luck, and hopefully next week we'll be talking about your conference championship.
I hope so.
Coming up next, we'll have senior captains Brandon Miller and Jordan Andrews on, so stay tuned.
Have you ever considered, I don't know, getting it waxed?
Waxed?
Yeah.
Bro, that's a little weird.
I don't know. Doesn't seem that weird to me.
Just keep shaving my back, okay? Oh, dude, can I get a bite?
What? With my spoon? It's disgusting.
Welcome back to Fish Football Focus, joined now by the two senior defensive captains, Brandon Miller and Jordan Andrews. And so we'll start off. Alfred, this upcoming weekend, it's senior day, last home game at Scrowney Stadium. So we'll start with Brandon. How fast has your 4 years felt like they've flown by here?
Well, you always hear how the upperclassmen always say, oh, God, these 4 years have gone by fast. And as an underclassman over the years, I've never really took that to heart. But now with 1 or potentially 2 games left, definitely feel it. These 4 years have gone by so fast. But at the same time, I mean, I've really appreciated them, and I've grown to make a lot of memories and friendships, such as Jordan here.
Yeah, it is pretty cliche. I mean, time really does fly when you're having fun. It goes by faster than you think it will. It just seems like yesterday I was a freshman strolling in here. You know, I was 6'3", about 40 pounds less, and I didn't know anyone. You know, I remember Miller, he was just an annoying freshman, wouldn't shut up. Now he's one of my best friends, and it's just amazing the transition. You come in as a boy, you leave as a man. It really is true, and I couldn't have picked anywhere else better to go personally, and you know, you probably feel the same way. But Fisher's been a great place.
Yeah, and you guys have really been coming on strong towards the end. Just this past weekend, Jordan, you had 2 sacks, and Brandon, you had 12 tackles, a tackle for a loss. So obviously, to earn a captain position like this, you guys have to go out there and play hard each week. But you guys find yourselves just like playing a little bit harder now that you know that it's all coming to an end pretty soon.
Well, I just feel like ever since the Morrisville game, I think just as a part, as a whole, we became a team. I think that early in the season, I don't know if I could say that I was on a team, but ever since that Morrisville game, something clicked with us, and just we've been rolling ever since then. And I think the way that guys have been playing is just a lot harder. And for myself, I mean, I always try to play as hard as I can and try each game to see if I can match that or play a little bit harder. And I know Jordan's the same way here as well. But I just think overall, like, just things have been clicking well.
Yeah, I have to agree. First month or two of the season, you know, it was just a bunch of individuals going out there playing. And ever since we played Morrisville, everyone's just been being loose on the sidelines, you know, just being themselves. And when everyone plays as themselves and just plays loose and for each other, you can see the result. You know, we've won 5 games in a row. And it's pretty obvious that you watch the games, see us on the sidelines. You know, we're out there acting as brothers, out there playing together. And it's been a lot more fun these last couple of weeks. And to go back to your question, I mean, yeah, with 1 game left, for sure, you know, this one's going to mean a little something extra. You know, we're going to go out there like it is our last game, because it is our last game. So I know personally it's going to be weird after the game's over to know that that was my last guaranteed game ever. We'll probably have another one, but, you know, it's bittersweet, you know.
And hopefully circumstances play out and you guys are the Empire 8 champions. We'll get to that in a minute. Brandon, last week had Coach Fox on. He mentioned that your 2 interception games at your first 2 of your career.
Yep.
Still, you just mentioned your career is winding down, and you've had a pretty successful one here at Fisher. But finally, get those first 2 interceptions last week. Does it feel like a big monkey off your back to to finally
Well,
get that done?
Yeah, me and Coach Fox has always joked around, and the rest of the linebackers, because all the way throughout camp, I had a lot of interceptions through camp, and I always had a niche for finding the ball, but I could never get one in the game. And I think prior to that, the last game interception I had was freshman year. I had a JV interception versus Alfred home. So, I mean, definitely getting those 2 interceptions. I was joking around with them. I said I could retire happily now that I got a shutout at Ithaca and I got 2 interceptions. So, but I'm not really looking at that, paying attention to it. I'm just trying to get the W, whatever way I can possibly do that.
And hey, maybe we can repeat that performance against
Hey,
Alfred.
yeah, you never know.
So you two have been playing together for the past 4 years. Mentioned you've become pretty good friends. Both pretty important cogs in that front 7, playing right back to back to each other. Do you find that the two of you built a good chemistry? You kind of talked a little bit off the field, but has it really helped on the field being able to play together and kind of become brothers, as you guys said?
It's nice knowing that he knows what he's doing. You know, I can go. The way our defense is set up now, you know, everyone has a definite gap, but I know that I can trust him to know that he knows what he's doing, and that's a big thing. Earlier in the season, you had played a little different defense, and when you're a senior up front and you know what you're doing, but there's new guys around you, you can't. I mean, you want to trust them, but it's hard. And you know, the guy like Brandon back there, I know that he's going to make the play. I know that he's going to know what to do, and he's got my back, and I've got his. And people underestimate that. I think they take a lot more for talent than they do experience. Experience is, you know, you can't put a price on it. It's intangible. And playing with Brandon, it's amazing. You know, he knows what he's doing, like I said, and you can't make up for it.
Yeah, and that just goes back to what I said in the first time I was on here, how I speak highly of our front 4 and what their job is. Well, they originally were a front 3, but now our front 4, they do such a great job of making my job and Dave's job a lot easier of just playing free to the ball and making tackles. When these guys can just eat up double teams all day long, that makes my job amazing. And the way our secondary has been playing lately, it's fantastic. So really, my responsibilities has become shorter on the list. And in terms of just off the field camaraderie, I mean, we're always hanging out, linebackers, defensive line, we're always doing stuff together. And I just think that camaraderie kind of plays into that trust factor that leads to being able to trust someone on the field. And like Jordan said earlier, like I don't know if I was trusting anybody really, especially the first game, Thomas More. I think I was trying to make plays that were not my responsibility. Maybe because I was just a lack of trust with the new guys. But now I definitely trust every single guy out there, no matter what year they're in, to get the job done and do their job. And that's why we've won 5 straight games in a row.
And so you guys are graduating in the spring. So what's next for you guys? Obviously moving on from football in just a couple of weeks, but what's next in life kind of after Fisher?
Well, for me, I'm a chemistry major here. So I'm applying to graduate schools. I want to get a PhD and hopefully become a professor at some point and get into research with chemistry. It's always been kind of the back burner since I've been playing football here, but it's time to bring it out front, make it the main focus.
And I'm a history major here, and what I want to do is hopefully get my master's in teaching either here or somewhere else in graduate school. And then I'd like to go teach history in high school and coach football or basketball as well. I don't know if I could step entirely away from this game. I just like being a part of it way too much.
Yeah, show some of your students your old game footage. I don't think you'd have any problem with anyone handing in homework. And finally, last question. We've mentioned Alfred's coming up next. Obviously, a must-win goes without saying. If you guys want to win the Empire 8, is it different knowing that we mentioned that it's the last game for you guys, but it's the last game for this team. Basically, if you guys don't get the W this weekend, so have you put a little extra pressure on yourselves to go out there and win, or is that there's enough already and you're just going to go out there and treat it like another game?
Well, for me, I don't like to put pressure on myself. I think the first 4 games of the season, we saw the results of pressure. I mean, everyone expected us to do great this year. We started on 1-3. Ever since, we've been just chilling out and just relaxing. I mean, we've been doing great. So for me personally, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of outside pressure, but I don't feel it. It's just another game. It's just my last game. I mean, I care more about it being my last game than I do being like this big hyped up game. But I mean, obviously we want to win it. I just want to beat Alfred personally. I just hate Alfred. So. Yeah,
there's a lot of implications on this week. Obviously, in terms of the conference title, a win for us / a Cortland loss would equal that. We win the title. But I don't think our guys are looking at it that way. We can only control our destiny. We can't control if Ithaca beats Cortland or what else goes on in the conference. We can only control what we do. And I think that's a mentality that the guys have kind of picked up throughout the year. You know what, let's just go out there, let's just play the game that we love, and let's just go out there and win. Let's not worry about anything else, any other extracurricular media that goes on. Let's just go out there and just have fun. Let's win a game, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Best of luck, not against Alfred, but moving forward and everything else to you guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Don't leave us now. Offensive coordinator Rob Kramer will be joining us along with senior captain Nathan Nagolian. We've got another great dual interview coming up, so keep it here.
This financial advisor is being accused of committing one of the largest investment frauds in the history of the United States.
I guess we're not going to Aspen. That's fine. You see, I like tennis balls. He likes insider trading. So he's going to jail and I'm going to a shelter. And no, they're not the same thing. Shelters are for good pets that want to be adopted. Jails are for criminals. I've done nothing. Uh-oh. Okay, I stole a cheeseburger once. I'm a dog.
Welcome back to Fish Football Focus, joined now by senior captain Nathan Nagolian and offensive coordinator Rob Kramer. So we're glad to have you guys on the show. And so first, Nathan, just talk to Brandon Jordan about this. And so you've actually been here 5 years, redshirted a year. But coming into your senior week this weekend, has it really hit you that you're finally reaching the end? That these 5 seasons have kind of flown by?
I mean, it's been quite a ride. I can remember coming into camp freshman year not knowing what to expect, and now during the final week of my regular season of my career. So it's been kind of a weird feeling, but it's been a great 5 years.
And Coach, you're obviously sitting next to a guy who's 2 yards away from moving up to second all-time in Fisher receiving yards. He is second all-time currently in touchdowns, fourth in receptions. So a pretty accomplished receiver. As a coach, does it make it that much easier to have a guy that's that reliable and that you just got to throw it up to him and he's going to be able to come down with it and make big plays?
Hey, it makes me look good. No, Nathan's done a great job for us over his 4 years here. Really 4 seasons with us. His sophomore year, he kind of got cut short with an injury. But he's done a really good job in terms of really learning from some pretty good kids that came before him and really stepping in that leadership role the last 2 years to help the guys below him. And I think that's kind of propelled him doing the things on the field that has made him as successful as he is. Coming out of high school, I think he won 5 state championships. 3 state championships. Okay, a little high on that. In different sports. So Nathan was very well rounded. So he knew what it took to be successful, and he kind of emulates a lot of that from his high school days to his college days, being successful in those ways. On and off the field. And
you were on the team with Noah Fehrenbach, who was the man in first place in every single receiving category for Fisher. So you were on the team, and you got a first-hand look at Noah, and now you've got a chance to coach Nathan. Can you make any comparisons between the two?
Noah and Nathan are very similar. Noah was a tremendous athlete. Started playing football here and basketball. It was interesting to watch Noah, throughout his time frame here. You'd see him go out to practice and be very impressive there, then go on the basketball court and 360 dunk it. He had the ability to make people miss in the open field, but was also very physical in terms of blocking and catching the football. Much like Nathan's a physical wide receiver. He's tough to get around. I'll even say he's deceptively fast. So. I think one thing, that Nathan doesn't, Noah was not as great at, was Nathan can really go up and get the football. Out of the air, a lot of guys tend to let the ball come down. Nathan goes and snatches it right out of the air, and, it makes, the quarterback's a little bit more comfortable knowing someone can go up and get the football, win those battles and, 50-50 balls that we talk about in the air.
And Nathan, to be so high on all those lists, be in the Fisher record books forever. Can you just kind of describe that feeling of knowing that you've got that level of accomplishment?
I mean, going off what Coach Kramer said earlier, I had some great players my freshman year and sophomore year who were ahead of me, who were seniors or juniors, who were great football players that I learned a lot from, and the coaches as well. Coach Yonda, Coach Kramer is my wide receiver coach. They're all contributing to my success. They just put me in great positions. And I do what they taught me. Realistically, is what it is. And having great quarterbacks, offensive linemen who can give the quarterback time. It's a great team effort. And I mean, I couldn't be where I am without contributions from everyone.
So what do you do personally to prepare yourself though? I mean, obviously, just been a fantastic athlete here yourself, as Coach talked about Noah. What do you do personally that you think kind of sets yourself apart and kind of gives yourself such a level of success?
I mean, it's just kind of like a competitive edge. It's just all mental. Nothing really out of the ordinary. I just want to be the best that I can be, work hard. Off season, I mean, I didn't touch a weight until I got here my freshman year, and I think that really contributed. So just a mindset of being competitive and wanting to the best out of yourself.
So, Coach, unfortunately, you won't have this weapon to come back next year. You're losing a lot of your receiving weapons. You're losing Bobby Campese. Taylor Byrne came on for a big week this week. Are you confident in your guys, moving forward, though, that you're going to be able to kind of replace this sort of production and continue to have success in the offense moving forward?
Most definitely. I think we've done a great job as, coaching staff, recruiting some good, young, talented wide receivers. Over the last couple of years, we're going to return. We're going to lose Bobby, Nathan, and Taylor, which are, 3 big components of what we have. But we're going to return Mike Liccio, who was a starter for us at the start of the year, had his season cut short for us due to injury. We're also going to return, J.J. Mulvey, Derek Bolin, Justin DiBernardo. We've played James Chambers in the slot. We got a young kid by the name of Will Kuhn coming up, who's got a lot of upside. So we're pretty excited, and we've got some younger guys as well. A lot of our sophomore freshman class are pretty strong. Mitch Rain, who's a sophomore. Chris Bushy, who's a sophomore, also a lacrosse player for us in the athletic department. And we got some pretty good kids. It's just a matter of getting them opportunities, much like what Nathan had early on in his career, and get these guys going.
So, Nathan, obviously you're back here for a 5th year because you had the eligibility. Going to get your undergraduate after you complete one class this semester. So, what's up next for you? Not only after football, but after Fisher.
Oh man, I have no idea. I mean, I got to figure that out. But I always said I'm going to stick around in Rochester at least next semester. So I'll probably come to the spring practices and help out because Coach Yondek won't be around. So I'd love to come and help the wide receivers out. But beyond that, I still got to figure my life out.
And finally, we're getting a little short here, but Alfred's up this weekend. They only allow 194 passing yards a game. So basically, how are you guys going to attack that?
We've got some things drawn up that I think will give them fits as well. We've done a nice job over the last several weeks. Obviously, the last 5 games we've been pretty successful, and we're going to look to continue that. Getting the ball in people's hands to make plays. Our quarterbacks have done a nice job distributing the ball. Our wide receivers have made plays. Our running backs have ran the ball much better. We're blocking and protecting up front very well. It's going to be a physical game that we're going to have to play some good football and be successful in all 3 phases of the game to get it done.
And quickly, Nathan, you ready? You ready to go out there on the ground? You same for your last game and kind of go out there and put up another triple-digit performance?
Hey, I'll take the win. That's all that matters. I know coaches are going to put us in a great position to do that, so we're going to come out and have some fun out there.
All right. Well, best of luck against Alfred State. Hopefully you guys can pull away with the Empire 8 win. And Nathan, best of luck moving on after Fisher.
Thank you very much.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Fisher Football Focus. Be sure to check back next week as the Cardinals take on the Alfred State Saxons in their regular season finale. For Cardinal Television, I'm James Bailey. Catch you next time.